Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and we're going to be going over the best decks since the new patch today. We played a lot of Hearthstone on stream, and it just felt really good. Patch seems like it hit the right spots, not being OTK'd by turn like 6 or 7 anymore by Hunter. A lot of the best decks got turned down, like the Demon Hunter and the Paladin, which we saw a ton of. So sweet spot in the meta right now. Had a lot of fun today, and going over some of the newer decks that got some buffs is going to be the Dragon Paladin. They changed the imbue for this to be 1 mana instead of 2. Means you can weave it into your turns so much easier now and get a lot of tempo dragons on board with like Dreamweaver early on, because you can like hero power for 1, pull those dragons out of your deck, and it felt really nice. We still run the Ursol, but instead of going Dussy because it costs 8 and it no longer gets corrupted, we go with the Renewing Flames, which is more of a tempo, does 5 damage twice at the end of the turn to the lowest health enemy minion or face if they have none. So that's really good. We actually even were able to weave in the Unbreaking because it's a 5 mana 3/4 Divine Shield taunt. Your Divine Shields take 3 hits to break. We play run Divine Brew. We also run like the Righteous Protector, so we're able to combo and have like a pretty sizable board with our dragons, give them Divine Shield, and it's really hard to break through as well. We get to run the Petal Picker because it's really easy to imbue the hero power. Bunch of draw in this deck, which it lacked before. The Maul always draws you into your Ursol and Renewing Flames. I know I'm gonna hear like, where's our Malorn in this deck? The problem with Malorn is he costs 8, which means if you get the Maul and you attack, you may not get to the Renewing Flames in time before you get to play Ursol because you run Malorn. Also, I played a bunch of games with this deck today, and I played Malorn 0 times when he was in the deck just to see how he would, you know what I mean? I tested it, it didn't work, but we did play it and it just didn't feel good. So this is the list we ended up landing on in regards to its stats. I believe we went 9-5, which 2 of these games we definitely could have won. We just needed to play better. And yeah, deck felt really good, almost a little too good. Taking a look at another one, the Dragon Dark Gift Warrior. I know a lot of people liked the video I posted on this. We went from Diamond 5 to Legend with this deck with, I believe, an 83% win rate when the mini set dropped. Taking a look at some of the new cards that came out, which gave more Dark Gift access to Warrior. I got a lot of comments saying this deck sucked, but it actually just got buffed even more. So we played it even more today, around 2.5k Legend, and ended up at like 1600 Legend. The win rate of this deck continues to just be insane. We're at 40 games with this deck. Let me see if I can pull up the stats real fast. Yeah, we're at 40 games with this deck. We're 32-8 with an 80% win rate with the Dragon Warrior deck that we had posted a lot of videos on. I'll post those in the description below if you want to see them. It was like 3 hours of this exact deck, and then I believe like another hour of video after that. Plus, I'll be obviously posting more of it because the cards got buffed. And those cards are the Darkrider, which turned into a 2/1, and the Shadow Flame Suffusion going from 3 mana to 2 mana. It does 1 less damage, but now it's easier to weave in, and we have a turn 2 play because generally our turn 3 is going to be the Creature of Madness stuff. This deck plays like a tempo deck. You can get on the board very quickly. It has a ton of value with the Green Wing and the Tormented Dread Wing with the Clutch of Corruption that can be used on Yasandre, or you can Succumb Yasandre as well, and then Zephrys for the over-the-top damage that this can provide. We went toe-to-toe with Imbue Druid. We went toe-to-toe with like Control Shamans and Death Knights and all that good stuff, and it really just did very well, as you can see through the stats that we had. So again, going back to the people who are like, this deck sucks, I'm 0-5. I promise you it's not the deck, man. We keep playing it and we literally just keep winning with it. Hey bud, have you come to remind the viewers to sub, to like, to comment on the YouTube videos so you, thither boy, can get treats and toys and have a good Christmas this year? Yeah? Have you come to do that? So moving to some not so new decks, but decks that are still very good, and I saw a lot of today. That's still the Imbue Druid. The deck is still very good, even though Sing Along Buddy did go to a 3 mana card. It still triggers the hero power twice. Still very good in the medium to late game. It runs the new location card, which again is very good in this deck for draw. You can run the Sidrasil, or you can play Malorn in this deck if you want. I'm pretty sure this is still fine because the Blazing will corrupt this, which is super good. Plus, just having an 8 mana and Druid ability to clear the board or dream a card back or have burst with the 0 mana card is still very good. However, if you do not like the Sidrasil, you can change this however you see fit. You could also just replace this for Zephrys if you want. I've seen a lot of that. But at its core, it's still very good, even with the nerf to like Symbiosis and stuff. Just very popular deck, very straightforward, and very good still. Heading on over to a mage deck that's gaining a lot of popularity. It's going to be the Protoss Mage. This is my version of it. There's a lot of different versions. This is has some nice early game with Water Cool Artists, which can hit your Tsunami. And we also run Blizzard because if we draw our Tsunamis early, we can get the Blizzards to get discounted and buy us time. If you do not like the Blizzards and you always want to hit Tsunami, feel free to replace the Blizzards with the Sleet Skaters, which are very good. And if you don't like that, you also can just go ahead and add Shadguard to the deck. Like I said, there's a ton of different ways to build this mage deck right now. This is just the version that I was playing. You also could probably take out the Dirty Rats, but I find them still good in some of those matchups like Death Knight, any sort of like combo deck that is still existing out there, because still most of the minions that are very powerful right now are battle cries. So being able to Dirty Rat and deal with them is very good. You also, of course, can add like Youthful Brewmaster to this deck if you want more Colossus, but I found that generally 2 Colossus was more than enough to beat somebody. And there is also like an all spell version, I believe, if you want to try that. It runs the Protoss stuff and Yogg in the box. It's kind of like the same thing. It doesn't run Colossuses, but another very popular mage deck that I'm seeing. And then we have the Space Warlock. This was very, very popular at Top Legend before the new balance patch. It did get hit by the Cursed Companion, which now is at 4 mana instead of 3. However, the deck is still very, very good against any other control deck and has a ton of resources to deal with aggro decks. So if you're looking for a very hefty control deck that did very well and still does very well, because the Ancient of Yore with the Eternal Layover, with the Cursed, and it just has the Starship if you don't get to land on that, with the Defense Crystals and the Hearts and the Fell Thrusters for a ton of value. It runs Wheel with Kill Jaden. It just has a ton of removal, a ton of healing, and an inevitable win condition, which is Kill Jaden or Wheel, and it just has a lot of just things to do every turn. Keep in mind, this is going to be a pretty hard deck to play. This is probably the hardest deck out of all the ones that I've covered because of the amount of options per turn that you have, and given the matchups, you need to know how to beat certain matchups, whether it's quickly, mid-rangey, or very slow, grindy, control-y, and especially the mirror matchups get a little wonky as well. So if you want a juicy control deck, that is also an option for you. And then the last deck, I knew I'd cover 5, but there's actually another one, is going to be the ultimate control ship Death Knight. There's a ton of Death Knight out there. Death Knight is still very, very, very good. There's, again, a ton of builds with this deck, whether you're running the Starship variant, which I prefer because it's very, very fun, or you're running the more airlock breach and all that good stuff. Again, a lot of variants of controlled Death Knight, and it is still very, very good. One of the reasons why it's so good is it has this Wild Pyromancer Poison Breath, which is a 4 mana, basically clear the entire board. You run the Corpse Explosion, which is generally a board clear. You run the Ceaseless Expanse, which is a board clear. You run a ton of like the little leeches, which are tons of damage, and you just get so much life from them. While it doesn't necessarily kill your opponent quickly, you just run them out of resources, and you either win with a super late game Starship that's unbelievably juiced and you just fill your whole board up with craziness, or you're just winning through Kill Jaden and your opponent will inevitably die because your stuff is so much bigger than theirs and you have so much health. I mean, we've ended games well above 100 life, whether it's through armor or just leech control. Through playing today, those were the absolute best decks that I saw and the most played decks that I saw. I'm assuming that in the coming week, we will see some new variants of like Imbue Hunter show up. I know there was some people messing with like Alex Straza with the new King Plush, because Alex Straza takes your opponent's health to 15, and then Plush then gets charged and can just kill your opponent. So you just have to wait till turn 9 for Alex Straza, and then you get to do the Hunter combo, which definitely makes it not as fast, but still there are OTK decks out there that are being refined that people are playing. And then I'm sure will pop up, like I said, in the coming days or within like a week or two with this new balance change that just hit. So with that, hopefully you're enjoying this new patch. I sure am. I am so pleased that we have actual room to play different decks and we're not being OTK'd on turn 6 anymore, and I had a really good time with it so far. So I'm interested to hear you guys is what you're seeing out there. Has it been, I think it was like pretty good patch day, a lot of things being hit, and the meta has definitely been shaked up, which you just love to see. So with that, thank you guys for watching. I'm Robert Warshack, of course, and happy whatever the hell day it is.